38 now on this Wednesday. America is turning 250 years old, and no city is more central to that story than Washington, D.C. From year-long celebrations to major museum openings and historic renovations, there's a lot happening in the district throughout the year. Joining us now to break it all down and how locals can be part of it is Destination D.C. President and CEO Elliot Ferguson. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, we've seen all the national kickoff moments, but what does it really mean for America's 250th specifically for the district?
For Washington, D.C., it's really celebrating, of course, America's history. We're the stewards of that, thanks to the Smithsonian and so many of the monuments that we have in the city. But it's also an opportunity to tie in what the federal government is doing with what Washington is doing to celebrate America's 250th. Of course, you saw the National Mall lit up over the last few days with fireworks and the Lincoln Memorial. But there's so many major events and openings that are taking place this year that we want to incorporate in the itineraries of those domestic and international visitors that are thinking about coming to the United States and therefore to Washington.
Yeah, and you talk about those visitors, and of course, this is a year-long celebration. What kind of economic impact is this expected to have for DC and especially some of those small businesses that really rely on this?
We'll have a better grasp on economic impact at the end of the year because this is a year-long celebration. And with that, we're looking at packages that are tied to hotels. Of course, the restaurant scene with Restaurant Week. I saw Sean Townsend on WSA earlier this week. Of course, a lot of openings in the city, a lot of celebrations. The 10th anniversary of the African American Museum, the 50th anniversary of Air and Space, the Horse Sharks coming back online, the new National Geographic Museum. The list goes on in terms of what we're going to be able to incorporate in that overall celebration of those visitors coming to the city. And then, of course, tying it to 51 Steps of Freedom and the civil rights movement that, of course, happened well after 1776, and tying it into the local experience for those that are in Washington, D.C., that want to explore their own city, as well as those that are coming from all over the world to the United States.
I want to ask you, people here, America 250, DC 250, talk about what the difference is and how they kind of work together this year.
Yeah, America's 250, of course, the federal government's response to the overall celebration. We've seen it already. We've heard from the administration things that are going to be happening on the National Mall this year. We're tying ours into the experience in Washington, D.C. Only in Washington can you see the Declaration of Independence. Of course, the 16 free museums, including the zoo, that are part of the Smithsonian. So many things to see and do in Washington, D.C. that are tied to the federal experience, but also the 700,000 people that live in Washington, D.C., the experience that we have as Washingtonians and the history that is tied to where our country is today, and especially since our founding in 1776. So it's a big deal for us economically. I know our hotels are engaged, our restaurants are engaged. A lot of the festivals that are taking place, Cherry Blossom Festival and others, will play an active role in celebrating America's 250.
And we have just a few seconds left, but I want to ask you, how can people keep up with all these events happening throughout the year?
Easiest place, washington.org. That's our website. You'll see itineraries that are tied into things in which you can do while you're in Washington, D.C., be it a staycation or those that are coming from all over the world to Washington.
All right, Elliot Ferguson, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. A big year ahead.
Thank you so much.